dive straight into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a seriously chilling campfire story. This is a supposedly true account of a writer who went out looking for some light inspiration, and instead he stumbled into something completely ancient, terrifying, and very real. If you're a fan of a good ghost story, you know the usual tropes, right? But this narrative, it completely flips the script. It makes the story itself the weapon. So get comfortable because we're going to break down the exact anatomy of a deadly curse. Imagine traveling miles and miles away from civilization, and the very first thing the locals frantically whisper to you is, "Don't read the story. Don't listen to the story." That is not just some friendly local advice. That is a desperate plea to save your life. Part 1. A Writer's Quest. Let's meet our protagonist, Akshar. So Akshar isn't exactly your typical tourist. He's a novelist hunting for a genuine ghost story. And that hunt brings him to a village that is completely displaced from time. I mean, the guy hates modern distractions, and here, there's absolutely zero modern technology. The men are wearing traditional dhotis, the women are in white saris, and the whole community basically operates as a self-sustaining ecosystem right out of 70 years ago. They absolutely refuse to leave their borders because they believe the outside city world is literally a poison. This isolation is such a fantastic narrative device because it completely cuts Akshar off from any modern safety net. There's no quick rescue coming. But Akshar isn't just there to, observe village life. He starts hearing whispers about his real destination. We're talking 300-year-old ruins hidden deep inside a pitch-dark, overgrown forest, totally suffocated by the sprawling roots of ancient peepal trees. To a writer like Akshari, this sounds like an absolute gold mine. He's thrilled. He's hoping to maybe catch a glimpse of a ghost to flesh out his next protagonist, completely unaware of the absolute monster waiting for him in the shadows. Which brings us to Section 2, the terrifying ruins. And trust me, it is a suffocating nightmare. The second Akshar and his local guides step foot inside, the sunlight just vanishes, and this overwhelming sense of dread takes over. Here is where we get to the actual mechanism of the terror. Carved right into the damp stone walls of these ruins are these horrifying murals of a horned demon just slaughtering people. And it's accompanied by text written in multiple languages, including English. But when Akshar tries to read it, the villagers literally physically cover his eyes. They frantically explain the horrifying rule of this place. Reading the story, listening to the story, or witnessing the story triggers a deadly hex. If you read the forbidden text, you are guaranteed to die, no exceptions. Well, naturally, a writer's curiosity is a very dangerous thing. Despite all those terrifying warnings, Akshar actually sneaks back to the ruins completely alone that very night. He's armed with nothing but an air pistol and some floodlights. As he's creeping down the basement stairs, he gets his first real brush with the entity. He sees this massive shadow moving in the absolute darkness. It's a terrifying 7-foot-tall figure decked out in pitch-black clothes with these giant, imposing horns on its head. Akshar barely makes it out alive, sprinting back to the village in total, utter terror. So let's look at Part 3, the cursed love story. Because honestly, surviving the night just wasn't enough for him. His curiosity totally gets the better of him, and as daylight breaks, he finally goes back and reads the forbidden story. Let's trace the tragic timeline Akshar uncovers, because this is what birthed the very monster haunting the ruins. Centuries ago, there was this king who was repeatedly betrayed by his own soldiers, and he lost his entire empire. Wandering the forest alone, he meets an outcast, a beautiful half-witch. They end up falling in love and journey to a cursed land to perform this incredibly dark ritual for power. The witch assumes the king is going to sacrifice a piece of his kingdom for their future, right? Nope. In the ultimate act of betrayal, the selfish king sacrifices the girl herself to the dark entities, and in return, he gains immense, terrifying power. Now, what's really fascinating here is the duality of this curse. That dark magic came with a massive catch. During the daytime, the king was reduced to a weak, completely vulnerable human. Powerless. But at night, he transformed into this unstoppable, towering demon with immense strength. The curse literally forced him to build his bloody empire entirely in the dark. Eventually, his mortal body died, but his demonic spirit remained forever bound to those ruins, just hunting down anyone who dared to learn his true shameful history. And that catapults us into Section 4. The demon's attack. Because by reading that story, Akshar didn't just get a history lesson, he activated the hex. That evening, back in the supposed safety of the village campfire, Akshar casually mentioned seeing a tall man wearing black clothes near the huts. A dead, chilling silence falls over the whole village. An elder whispers this terrifying local rule: no one shall wear black clothes. Whoever wears black brings the sign of death. The villagers realize, with absolute horror, that the demon has left the ruins. It's here. What happens next is just pure chaos. Suddenly, Akshar's wooden hut erupts into a raging fire, and walking straight out of the flames, completely unfazed by the intense heat, is the 7-foot horned demon. The panicked villagers instantly connect the dots. Akshar read the story. He brought this curse right to their door. So, in a desperate bid to survive, the villagers grab their sharp farming weapons. But they don't attack the unkillable demon. No, they turn on Akshar. They aggressively force him out of the village, herding him right back toward those deadly ruins. Abandoned by his friends, hunted by this invincible monster, Akshar is totally trapped in a suffocating nightmare. The chase is officially on. He's on this frantic, desperate sprint through a pitch-black forest. He knows the demon is just playing with him, roaring and ripping up trees right behind him. Akshar figures out his only tiny sliver of a chance lies in the exact place the demon was born. He has got to get back to the ruins. Which brings us to Section 5, the final sacrifice. As Akshar is desperately dodging through the crumbling stone, he suddenly remembers one absolutely crucial detail carved by the betrayed witch. Heart literally pounding out of his chest, Akshar dives into a hidden basement beneath the ruins. Down there, in the pitch dark, he stumbles upon an ancient tomb, and inside, the mummified, rotting corpse of the half-witch clutching a map. The exact moment Akshar grabs that map, the centuries-old mummified corpse suddenly jolts awake. Her sunken eyes snap open, and she lunges right forward. Just as the witch wakes up, the horned demon comes smashing into the basement. What follows is a brutal, earth-shattering clash between these two ancient supernatural forces. They're just tearing at each other, their dark magic literally crumbling the stone around them. But the demon is just way too powerful. In this horrifying display of brute strength, he mercilessly rips the witch apart, tearing her legs completely from her body. But here's the thing. The witch wasn't trying to win a physical fight. She was fulfilling her promise. In her final, agonizing moments, dragging her legless torso across the stone, she wraps her rotting arms tightly around the demon's head. She starts chanting this dark, ancient spell, screaming that she will sacrifice her remaining essence to bind them together forever. A blinding supernatural light erupts from the ground. So the absolute crucial takeaway here is this. When the light finally fades, the monsters are gone. In their place, up on the roof of the ruins, is a brand new intertwined stone statue. The witch used her final breath to turn them both to solid stone, creating an eternal prison. The demon is now locked in place, held back only by the stone embrace of the very woman he betrayed. All right, the final section. Never seek it out. Akshar actually manages to escape the village the very next morning, leaving the nightmare behind and getting back to the safety of the modern world. He definitely got his story, but man, at an unimaginable psychological cost. Right before he left, Akshar made the villagers swear never to go near the ruins again. He points out how terrifyingly fragile this curse actually is. If a storm, an earthquake, or even just some foolish traveler ever breaks the witch's stone arms and separates her from the demon, the curse breaks and absolute destruction follows. Because of this, Akshar swore he would never ever reveal the actual location of the village or the ruins to anyone. But wait, this is where this explainer takes a really dark meta twist. Think about the rules of the curse Akshar discovered. The curse isn't triggered just by visiting the ruins. No. The demon is summoned to hunt down anyone who reads, witnesses, or listens to his hidden history. Over the last few minutes, I just told you the king's secret. You literally just listened to the exact lore that birthed the monster. You know about the betrayal, you know about the witch, you have heard the forbidden story. So, I gotta ask, is the demon coming for you now?